What if the greatest spy in the world wasn't trying to stop a terrorist or a criminal mastermind, but an enemy that already knew every secret on Earth? That's exactly the nightmare Ethan Hunt faces in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And trust me, this movie goes bigger, crazier, and more dangerous than almost anything the franchise has ever attempted. The story picks up after the events of Dead Reckoning, where the mysterious artificial intelligence known as the Entity has become the most powerful force on the planet. This isn't a villain you can punch or shoot. It lives inside the digital world, manipulating information, controlling networks, and slowly gaining access to the world's nuclear arsenals. The scariest thing about the Entity is that it doesn't need an army because it can turn governments against each other using lies and misinformation. Right away, the movie creates an atmosphere of pure tension. Nations are on edge, intelligence agencies are desperate, and everyone wants control of the Entity. Ethan, however, understands something that most people don't. Nobody should control this thing. It has become far too powerful, and giving it to any government would be just as dangerous as letting it run free. As the clock starts ticking, Ethan receives a warning that humanity is heading toward disaster. The Entity is getting closer to taking control of global nuclear systems, and once that happens, the entire world could be destroyed. The stakes are absolutely insane, and honestly, this might be the biggest threat Ethan has ever faced. Ethan reunites with his trusted allies, Benji and Luther. Watching these three together again reminds you why this franchise has lasted so long. Their friendship feels genuine and earned after years of impossible missions. Luther in particular gets some emotional moments here, and his relationship with Ethan becomes one of the movie's strongest elements. The team learns that the key to stopping the Entity lies deep within the wreckage of a Russian submarine called the Sevastopol. Years earlier, the submarine mysteriously sank, and with it went the original source code connected to the Entity. If Ethan can recover it, he may finally have a chance to stop this digital monster forever. Meanwhile, Gabriel returns. If you watch Dead Reckoning, you already know this guy is bad news. He serves as the physical representative of the Entity and continues manipulating events from the shadows. What makes Gabriel dangerous isn't just his intelligence, but his personal connection to Ethan's past. Every time these two share the screen, there's a sense that history is repeating itself. Soon, Ethan and Grace find themselves captured by Gabriel. During their confrontation, a shocking revelation emerges. The infamous rabbit's foot from Mission Impossible 3 wasn't just some mysterious bioweapon after all. It was connected to the creation of the Entity itself. Suddenly, events from earlier films become part of a much larger story. Whether fans love or hate that twist, it definitely makes this movie feel like a grand finale tying together decades of adventures. After escaping Gabriel's trap, Ethan experiences something unusual. He directly interacts with the Entity. Through digital visions, the AI essentially shows him possible futures where nuclear war destroys civilization. These scenes are surprisingly creepy because the Entity never behaves like a traditional villain. It speaks with cold certainty, almost as if humanity's extinction is simply a mathematical equation. One thing I really appreciated is how the movie explores modern fears. Previous Mission Impossible films focused on bombs, viruses, or stolen secrets. This one tackles misinformation, artificial intelligence, and humanity's dependence on technology. Even when the plot becomes wild, the core idea remains unsettling because it feels closer to reality than most action movie threats. As Ethan races across the globe, another tragedy strikes. Luther becomes trapped in a deadly situation engineered by Gabriel. Realizing there is no escape, he sacrifices himself to save countless lives. It's one of the most emotional moments in the entire franchise. Luther has been with Ethan since the very beginning, and seeing their journey come to such a heartbreaking point hits surprisingly hard. Ethan doesn't even get time to grieve because the world is literally ending around him. With only days remaining before nuclear catastrophe, Ethan convinces world leaders to trust him one final time. Naturally, not everyone agrees. Government officials, intelligence agencies, and military commanders all have their own plans. This creates constant tension because sometimes the people trying to save the world become just as dangerous as the villain. The next major section of the movie revolves around finding the exact location of the Sevastopol. Grace, Benji, Paris, and several allies travel to a remote island where old military records may hold the answer. I love this part because it feels like classic Mission Impossible. Instead of non-stop action, we get investigation teamwork and clever problem solving. Eventually, the coordinates are discovered and Ethan prepares for what might be the most terrifying mission of his life. He must dive deep beneath the frozen ocean to reach the sunken submarine. What follows is one of the most impressive sequences in the entire film. The underwater section is absolutely nerve-wracking. The submarine wreck shifts and creaks beneath crushing ocean pressure, while Ethan navigates dark corridors filled with danger. There are no explosions, no gunfights, and barely any dialogue, yet the tension is unbelievable. Christopher McQuarrie proves once again that suspense can be more exciting than action when done correctly. Many fans have already called this one of the best sequences in the franchise, and it's hard to argue against that. After an incredible struggle, Ethan finally retrieves the crucial device hidden inside the wreck. Of course, surviving the journey back is another challenge entirely. By the time he's rescued, he's exhausted, injured, and barely alive. Now comes the final phase of the mission. Luther had secretly created something called the Poison Pill, a program capable of trapping the entity. The plan sounds simple, but is ridiculously dangerous. Ethan must trick the AI into entering a secure storage device at exactly the right moment. If the timing is off by even a fraction of a second, humanity loses. As expected, Gabriel isn't finished. He launches one last attack and chaos erupts. Benji gets wounded. Bombs are activated and the world's nuclear systems move closer to total takeover. Every character is pushed to their limit. Then we arrive at the sequence everyone was waiting for, the biplane chase. Tom Cruise has built an entire career around making audiences wonder how he's still alive, and this scene might be his most ridiculous stunt yet. Ethan pursues Gabriel through the skies, climbing across moving aircraft while thousands of feet above the ground. It's pure old-school action filmmaking, and it looks incredible. Knowing Cruise performed so much of this practically makes it even more impressive. The confrontation between Ethan and Gabriel becomes a desperate fight for the fate of humanity. Eventually, Gabriel's obsession and arrogance lead to his downfall. Ethan recovers the poison pill and races to complete the mission before the countdown reaches 0. Back at the bunker, Grace and the rest of the team prepare the trap. The timing must be perfect. For a few nerve-wracking moments, it genuinely feels like they might fail. Then finally, the entity enters the trap and is captured mere moments before global nuclear launch. Humanity survives by the smallest margin imaginable. In the aftermath, Ethan receives a final message from Luther. It's a quiet, emotional scene that reminds us what this franchise has always been about. Beneath all the explosion stunts and impossible missions, these stories are really about loyalty, sacrifice, and trust. The surviving members of the IMF team reunite one last time. There's no huge celebration, no dramatic speeches, just a sense of relief and mutual respect. They've been through hell together and somehow made it out alive. As a conclusion to the series, the final reckoning isn't perfect. Some parts are over-explained, and the story occasionally gets tangled in its own complexity. Even many fans have pointed out that the movie spends a lot of time explaining plans and technology. But when it comes to spectacle suspense and pure cinematic ambition, this film delivers in a way very few blockbusters can. Tom Cruise once again proves why Ethan Hunt remains one of the greatest action heroes ever created. The movie asks audiences to believe some absolutely insane things, but honestly, that's part of the fun. Mission Impossible has always been about watching impossible situations become possible through courage, determination, and just a little bit of madness. My final verdict is that Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is a thrilling, emotional, and spectacular finale, packed with unforgettable action sequences, especially the submarine dive and the biplane showdown. The plot can get complicated, but the payoff is worth it, and the film succeeds as both an action blockbuster and a tribute to everything the franchise has accomplished. If you enjoyed this recap, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more movie recaps, breakdowns, and ending explanations. And let me know in the comments where you rank The Final Reckoning among the Mission Impossible movies. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next recap. This recap contains major spoilers and is based on the film's plot and ending.